So, if you're watching this, you probably just saw the conclusion of the John Ozbourne mystery attack on NXT on my video yesterday on my main channel. If you haven't seen it, why the hell are you here? You're gonna ruin it for yourself. But today I'm gonna be going through every single tease, what everything meant, how everything came about, literally everything that I could think of. We got who did it, people that were accused, certain nuances about the wrestlers themselves, like the characters, how they were portraying themselves, and then everything that was in an episode that I thought was worthy to mention for what happened in the end. So if you haven't seen it, please go see it. But this is gonna be a lot of not editing for me because it's like JCP Unreal over here. So we obviously have to start out with the answer of who did it? Nobody. I'm gonna be looking over at a script here that I wrote because I don't like memorizing stuff. All of United ended up pulling over a ruse on Alexander Bishop. John Ozbourne was never taken out, not taken out by anybody. He faked it to make Bishop look weak. It took longer than they expected, but they stuck to the plan so Gav and Azrael could kick Bishop out. Of course, Damien in the end as well. John was just the deception. Bishop, however, figured this out before it was revealed and thus made the plan with Chase to bring the university back. That's the added kicker I put in. So there are a lot of general things that the characters were doing ever since United formed that I think are worthy of a mention and how I was able to turn those into this. Gav Ashton was the mastermind behind the entire operation. We know that. Azrael was the assassin. He was the final piece they needed, and he eventually did with Andre Chase. John Ozbourne, all he would do was just kick people. But he was described as the most dangerous man in the group, whereas Alexander Bishop was just called the Deception. So I made the damn call to the Deception. Now, if you notice, United didn't start helping Bishop in his matches until after John had gotten taken out. But John would always help Gav and Azrael. And they lost their tag team titles in their first defense without John. John helped at Stand and Deliver, and in the post-match stuff, Damien, Coulter, and Kari helped during Stand and Deliver, but Gav and Azrael ended up doing the gauntlet by themselves. There's a lot of segments where Gav, Azrael, and John are together, and Alexander Bishop is doing his own thing, or not involved in this story arc. Those three were always together. John was always called the most dangerous man in the group. There's no way he could just be taken out from anyone other than himself. Now, I wanted all the signs to point at Alexander Bishop, but everything that made him look guilty made John want to take him out. And the Evolve guys have never mentioned this thing until maybe recently, but they did not really mention the attack at all. They were barely involved. Bishop started to see the good in Andre Chase, and Chase started saving him and agreeing with him and kumbayaing and all that stuff. Bishop keeps pointing fingers and it makes him look guilty, but he's actually the only one trying to figure out. That was mentioned on camera a lot. Gav and Azrael only wanted to figure it out when Bishop started having a different focus, like only the title or TNA or AAA. Bishop is slipping back to being a king, to being a leader, when the entire point of United is not to have leaders. And crazy enough, when Bishop told me his prediction and he was right, I think I'd won. Because I wanted him to figure it out. Because his character figures it out. But that's the twist. If people started getting the ruse right, they won't suspect the additional stuff of Bishop knowing and the university being brought back. It took so long that it was like, okay, people are going to start to get it right eventually, even if they keep guessing. So if I add in some more shit on top of things. But those are all the nuances, but here are the people that were accused or suspected by anybody throughout this saga. Obviously, Alexander Bishop was number one suspect, at least at first. He was suspected and accused by viewers, but he was not really accused on screen. Mike Santana was accused by Bishop on screen. That did happen. Connor Murphy got suspected by Bishop on screen, and in a little brief interaction, didn't have to do much. Andre Chase was suspected and accused by viewers and by Bishop on the Heatwave Go Home. Kel Dixon and Uriah Connors were suspected and accused by viewers. Deontay Wilde accused himself on screen. Samuel North, the Evolved Prime Minister, was suspected by viewers, also the anonymous account. John Ozbourne himself was suspected and accused by viewers, so some people did end up getting it right. Javon Evans was suspected by Bishop on screen in their face-to-face. Azrael and Gav were suspected by viewers. And nobody was suspected by viewers, so that's also kind of right. Other names like Dark State or Ashton Aker or random names that were kind of just thrown around as they had slight connections, or Dark State usually just does that, but they were never too serious. Sorry, Azrael. But you notice how Bishop is always accusing or suspecting people on screen. Gav and Azrael have never actually accused anybody because they don't need to. Now on to what was teased or what meant something in the episodes. And it starts obviously from when United formed, because of the promos, because of what I just showed with the deception, but it really does start picking up right after that. In an NXT.5 episode, when I was still doing that, Bishop tells John,
"Now, I'm not saying you can lead these boys over here, because that's not what we do, but they're gonna get a bit hectic, and as the older, wiser guy, you can keep them in check for us, right?"
Bishop sort of instantly goes back on his word of not being a leader of United, even though Bishop and John are the older names from the group outside of Aaron Coulter. He's like a 35-year-old in a frat. They weren't supposed to have any leaders. So Bishop goes to John on a .5 episode and says, well, I'm over on NXT. You're in this Breakouts division. We're the older ones. We can keep them in check. What are we doing? At NXT Deadline, Bishop would win the Iron Survivor, obviously. John and Coulter were in the Breakouts briefcase match, with John winning. And Damian and Kari helped Gavin Azrael in their NXT tag title match. They didn't help Bishop. Right after Deadline, Obafemi has a promo where he actually says,
"It seems like the Bishop has become a pawn in Gavin Ashton's master plan."
That's just some more of that eerie foreshadowing. It's all Gav's plan. And then later in the night, John kicks Andre in the head out of nowhere. It's his first night on the NXT roster, and he's already doing that. Just a precursor of his abilities. On the next NXT episode, Gav has a bit of a promo.
"Listen, I'm no visionary, but it's nice to know there are people that think the exact same way as me."
Stood only in the ring with Azrael and John, by the way. These episodes don't have as much. It starts to pick up later once John's actually taken out. That's when we'll get into the good stuff. But at Stand and Deliver, Bishop has a little interaction with John Ozbourne.
"John, I need to ask you a favor." "What is it?" "Santana is claimed to not be here in the building tonight. I don't know about you, but I don't buy it. If you could kindly make sure that's true by any means, so he can't interfere in my title match later, I will make sure once I'm champion, I'll pull some strings to get you repaid."
He asked John if he could take out Santana and that'll pull some strings to get repaid. So many of you thought that that would be the reasoning Bishop would do it. He didn't want to repay him or whatever it was, but alas, that didn't happen. On the NXT After, Bishop's raving about his best friends, Gavin Azrael being champions with him. John's mention was as a dear, dear friend used to take out Santana at Stand and Deliver. That wording is funny. And the rest of them would cut a promo later that makes a little bit more sense.
"He's here as a reminder of what United can do to anyone in this locker room."
This can also be connected to Bishop. Andre was forced in, but let's not forget Bishop was convinced in. Andre's future was in the fate of United's, but so was Bishop's. Alexander Bishop would then show up on the draft, defend his championship, and also cut a promo.
"But as soon as I so please, I will be on Raw, I will be on SmackDown, I will be the first man to make it from the breakout tournament to the main roster."
Already trying to go off on your own and not mention your own folks with you, man. What's going on? The NXT After, John would save Bishop from Mike Santana, doing the bidding again. The next NXT is the big one. It's John Ozbourne versus Mike Santana. And at the end of the show, John is taken out. Here we go. We're off to the races. The week after, Bishop says this.
"Guys, what keeps happening to my opponents?"
The literal week after John got taken out. That was only supposed to be about Andrade and Call Santana's releases, but it's still a funny connection. I don't do things for no reason. It just makes Bishop look a little bit crazy. Mike Santana comes out and calls Bishop the head honcho, and Bishop does not deny it. Andre tells the rest of the crew about the cameras in the university. Gavin Azrael instantly shut him down. They do mention to keep note of this, however. We will find out soon that they want to make sure nobody saw them. But alas, at NXT Vengeance Day, Bishop finds the scene of the crime. This is the first time as well that Gavin Azrael have helped Bishop during a match. It was the Falls Count Anywhere match against Mike Santana. They stumble upon the university, and they can access the cameras.
Nope, we don't have time. TNA title to win, remember? I kind of want to know.
I think that proves Bishop's innocence immediately. The cameras were right there, and he was willing to look at them with everybody around. Kale and Uriah end up walking in and over to the cameras when nobody is around. Chase takes a bullet for Bishop. Bishop retains and wins the TNA World title. And then later in the night, United cancels the breakout tournament. And Bishop is the only one that suggests finding John's attacker would get them to open the tournament again. He's the only one that said that. Next week, Bishop allows Andre Chase back into the university for a night so he can check the cameras. That's a bit of innocence.
But we're down a man. Why was nobody watching his back?
I think Bishop is starting to catch on. Gavin Azrael, however, instantly tried convincing Bishop to not look at this footage. Connor Murphy comes out, Bishop accuses Connor, and Connor is interrupted before getting a chance to deny it. Even though I wanted some people to figure it out, I still had to throw in some stuff just to make you guess a little bit more. It'd be no fun if you just figured it out. Later in the night, Gav is reluctant to be there with Chase and leaves the first instant. Kale and Uriah said they had seen tampered footage, so on the off chance it's revealed, Gav chose not to be there. And that's why United gets mad at her. If the truth was revealed right then and there, it is Chase U's word versus hers. And nobody's believing them. So Andre Chase finds out right then and there what happened. Bishop decides not to go with Azrael to go look at the footage or whatever Gav was talking about as he's watching the Murphy-Santana match. Now all of a sudden he doesn't want to be cooperative. That's more deception. Chase is very much unsure if Deontay Wilde is the guy, but he's playing it up as if they already saw the footage and they chose him. He just really supports the breakouts and wanted Deontay to get what he wanted.
The cameras don't tell the whole story, that's all I'll say.
They're really just not giving information. They know what happened, but they're biding their time because they hope it'll work out for them in the end. Deontay was genuinely just trying to get the breakout tournament started and clout chase. We start getting involved at this point. Say that 5 times fast.
My specialty is leaving a mark and making a dent.
The Discord thought that was about the John thing because his old name was Mark, so leaving a mark, making a dent. I told North that I didn't write it that way, but it now meant that because that was really good. The following NXT, they have a team meeting with United, and Bishop immediately asks, "Why are we here?" That's kind of putting doubt on him as well. Gavin Azrael take action on this by pressuring Bishop and getting irritated that John's attacker hasn't been found.
Listen, I as much as you guys want to find out who attacked John, but unfortunately, there are 2 companies sending their entire rosters at our brand.
He's suspicious for deflecting, but he's right.
Yeah, dude, I'm the mastermind here. That's kind of how we're here.
Bishop points out that they bring Chase everywhere, so that means they don't know where Deontay went, which is key for like 10 seconds later.
Because again, we wouldn't want no titles in this group, would we? Well, Damian Payne has the Evolve title. I don't give a damn about that right now.
It's really heating up, and now Azrael has a point. Now Gavin Azrael are upset at Bishop for giving them orders, and Andre Chase pipes up and says that he thinks he's right. Chase then reveals that Gav didn't see the footage originally. Bishop and Azrael just find out about this now, and that Chase was left unattended. Bishop cuts Gav's answer off by saying, "Not the point, not the problem," and that's more sus on Bishop for cutting them off. Leon Slater then gets involved and points out that Gav, Ashton, and United are the inspiration for calls when talking about Chris Velvet. They hate this legacy, but Bishop would become very fond of it by the end of this. Leon then says Gav should take the advice he gave to Javon about thinking bigger and tells Gav to be a single star. Gav is about to tell Azrael this before we spot Kale and Uriah laid out.
Well, why the hell do we care about if these guys are okay anyway? Because they know who really attacked John, and someone was too busy getting high in a treehouse instead of watching the footage. Yeah, let's get them to medical.
Azrael calls out Gav in that moment for not being there with Chase U to stop it, to deflect, threaten Chase U into not releasing what they saw, because they found out who really did the attack, and maybe United can conclude that Chase, Kale, and Uriah are aware that it's a ploy. But the whole tampered footage, withholding info thing could be true as well, because Gav never saw what they saw. So now they're just getting mixed messages. Did Chase U actually find out and they're just giving us mixed signals, or did they actually see dumbass footage? If only Gav were there. Bishop retains later that night in a 4-way main event and says, "All by myself, I took down your 3 biggest threats." Because he did. By himself again.
Nobody from any company can knock me off the throne I built from the ground up. TNA, AAA, send your best, because there'll just be another jewel added on my crown.
This is the first acknowledgement, I guess, on screen that Bishop is now acting like a leader. He's acting like a king, and he's taking full credit. Except he's still kind of right. It's just everybody isn't going to believe him or take his word seriously because he's like the boy who cried wolf at this point. Javon Evans comes out and the commentator says,
"You said anybody from any other company, but the answers you're after might be a little closer to home.
It really be your own people." Yes, I'm screen recording these on YouTube. It's so much easier than trying to edit it. At Evolve Chapter 1, Bishop shows up on the blunt rotation where the smoke rises and the heat gets real to confront Deontay on his stunt. He's still the only one really trying. Bishop takes a hit of the blunt and allows the tournament to happen while inebriated. Says he loves the tournament and that it's great for the business. High words are sober thoughts. They're not sometimes, but they are here. The mastermind pulled one over is what Damian Payne says, which confirms that Gav got William Parker in United. Bishop walks in and was confused at Parker's presence in the group. Damian instantly chimes in and says he must still be high. However, Bishop had already broke the high to tell Ashton Aker to go fuck himself in the blunt rotation segment. So he's not high, and Damian's deflecting. Leo Maverick calls United dysfunctional and says Damian Payne shouldn't be listening to Bishop. So Bishop's now a leader, and Leo, yes, you're involved. On the Slammy Awards stream, I had Bishop and Xenon both up on screen, so this would be even funnier. It plays the first T-5 weeks I am aware during United's acceptance for the NXT Tag Team of the Year. It's ambulance lights, and there's a faint John logo if you really go back and look at it. This shows that John Ozbourne is aware of his attacker, is still in the hospital, but has given a recovery time. We come back to NXT, and United and Chase U use the classroom training set as the neutral location for all things involving the John mystery. They placed it directly near those cameras so nobody can go snooping without Gav or Azrael there to stop it. Kale and Uriah don't know anything and trick them to see the place more. They introduce Skylar Ray as well. They're just using confusion at this point on United. They do know, but it's easier to get Skylar in by using this way. Chase asks Chase U can you please lock in for me just once? Can we get this damn university back? Bishop's asking why nobody's taking this seriously, and then Skylar Ray claims that she was walking out of a training session when John got attacked. Decides not to share unless they keep her around. Bishop accepts her on the chance that she does know. She gets accepted as the annoying little sister that they have to keep an eye on because she might know.
Are you telling the truth? Keep me around and maybe I'll show you.
Oh, and she does. At the NXTN AAA Super Show, Bishop teams with Andre Chase. He's still the only one that's allowing that and not complaining. Damian Payne wins his match clean as a whistle in quick fashion. Gav Ashton is the only other United member to win a match as Azrael helps her win the TNA X Division title from Leon Slater. Gav is the first member to win a singles title other than Bishop. Bishop has had everything. All for one and none for all. And all it took was one match and Gav holds a singles title. This proves United can be singles champions and stars without the need of Bishop being the only one. We're getting close to Battleground here as Bishop tells United that he can't be in the 6-man tag against TNA and AAA because Regal wants him and Javon isolated all night before the contract signing. He subs Damian Payne in his place, allows Chase to sit out after Abyss happened at the Super Show.
So I will have no idea what happens or who you guys face tonight.
Comes up later.
Now, I have to leave, I guess, so just keep an eye out.
Concern for Skylar. Andre Chase is not with United for the 6-man tag, not even at ringside. Damian Payne tags in and instantly wins the match. This guy is getting way too good. Probably too good for Evolve. United wins, but Skylar Ray is seen laid out in the parking lot in the same way as John. Gav, Azrael, and Damian decide not to investigate, despite Bishop clearly asking them to keep an eye out, and the collective agreement to keep her safe because she may know something. Why would United not check on Skylar if we think she knows who took out John? Because that would mean Connor Murphy is seen in William Regal's office, but I thought Bishop and Javon were supposed to be in there all night. This makes it look like Bishop took out Skylar for the same reasoning as the previous entry. Leon asks Javon if he should be in Regal's office. Javon responds, no, that's later tonight. I'm going there soon, so I'm gonna miss the rest of the show. Bishop still lied, but Javon won't know anything from here on out. Ricky Saints tells Gav Ashton that he thinks they're similar because they both can cash in option C on Bishop with the Heritage title and X Division title. Ricky wants to talk to a lawyer Gav to see what they can do with those titles. Well, guess what happens at Heatwave? Kale and Uriah find Skylar where she was laid out and reveal they faked the attack to see what United would do, but they did nothing.
Whatever you did, though, it looked pretty damn accurate. I mean, we had everybody fooled.
She got it exactly accurate. Uriah then says it's not Chase U issue anymore. They tried. They just gave it away, and you notice from this episode on, they're only worried about Chase and his status. They don't mention the mystery ever again. During that contract signing, Javon is confused about Regal not being present and why Leon was asking about it, but Bishop just cuts him off. Why did he lie? Javon says Bishop doesn't really want to be in NXT and he'd rather be on the main roster.
You've been isolated here all night, right? So you wouldn't want anything bad to happen to people who are helping you find out your mystery, would you?
Javon went to Regal's office after his argument with Leon, so he wouldn't know by this point that Skylar faked the attack. He would only know that she had been taken out. So now he's trying to question Bishop if he also knows what happened.
At least my boys can handle themselves and are sticking to their word of taking down all TNA guys like Elijah, like Trey Miguel, and like Leon Slater.
How would Bishop know that United took out Elijah and Trey if he had been there the whole night like he had told them? Javon instantly calls this out, and Bishop says he could just text his friends. He seems reasonable, but Bishop is clearly stumbling. Javon asks if Bishop knows what happened with Skylar Ray. He still doesn't know that it's fake. Bishop loses his shit, questions if Javon knows something, goes to find Skylar, and he asks for Kale and Uriah before he calls out for United help.
She's not here. Wait. She's not here.
What did he just realize, and why is Skylar in the background? Also, tend to notice she's standing in front of an ambulance that has not left, so nobody who was attacked was taken somewhere, meaning nobody was hurt. Bishop later reveals in the video yesterday what really went down this night. Him and Chase went to the classroom and saw the footage. Bishop clearly knew who United faced and Javon's argument with Leon, so he would have seen that Skylar was also taken out. He just hadn't seen the fake out yet. He got a bit of deja vu when Javon accidentally predicted it, but seeing Skylar not laying down, he later confirms that this is what all clicked in his head. He saw the footage, he knows it was a ruse. Skylar's words of being able to show them came back in his brain. She just showed them exactly how it happened. At Battleground, Bishop and Javon happens, but Bishop is shaking Javon's hand and holding back on cheating despite all the shit Javon said to him. Is Bishop changing? Azrael and Gav are on and off helping Andre Chase in the Battleground match. They like toying with him, when you'd presume that Bishop would help him with no problem. Danhausen curses United, but the camera zooms in so Andre Chase is out of frame. Number 30 hits, and the ambulance teaser from the Slammy Awards plays once again. John Ozbourne gives his updated recovery time and says he's up and awake and moving. Also reveals who number 30 is with United standing in the ring. This message urgently tells United to figure out his mystery, as John knows who did it, but maybe he's sensing that non-Bishop United members aren't as urgent and other things keep getting in the way. Figure it out. Also, John knows it was fake, so is he telling United to figure out who did it, or telling Gav and Azrael to figure out everything else surrounding it so he can come back cleanly? Azrael's the Iron Man of the Battleground from number 1, Gav still has the X Division title, and maybe these folks can be singles champions without the help of Alexander Bishop being all for one and none for all. Andre Chase wins the Battleground match and has a championship match against Bishop at the next pay-per-view, despite his affiliation to United and their refusal to reopen Chase U. They can't deny him anymore. But after all week, Bishop and United have been saying that United has to win the Battleground and Bishop has to retain so they can have an easy next pay-per-view. Chase won, so that throws a wrench in everything. Both of them have been moving in silence lately. Chase has been weirdly loyal to Bishop and helped him win the TNA title. Bishop's been weirdly the only United member to actually be nice to Chase, even remotely. But now they face each other for Bishop's title. Also on SummerSlam Night 2, Bishop is contacted by Nick Aldis and Kiana James, showing that he actually does have interest and scouted for the main roster. Danhausen tells Bishop that he is not cursed. His friends are. Right after SummerSlam and Battleground, Bishop is still swearing that they will find out this John mystery. Bishop perceives this match with Andre Chase to be a freebie because they're friends and they've also been working on the mystery in the background. But Chase does not see it this way.
Because I'll do you a favor and lift the weight off your shoulders so you can do what you really want to do.
Mike mentioning the main roster stuff again. Chase accepts the TNA title match for Bishop. Bishop clearly thinks this is out of left field, which you'd think he's dumb for because United has been horrible to Chase. But it's also because of the footage thing. Maybe he thought they were kind of cool now. Chase runs into Chase U and is unwilling to speak to them. The students know that it's awkward because of Chase's IRL release. They attempt to get answers, but he isn't willing to talk. This isn't much to do with the mystery because Chase U stopped caring about it, but more so for the university's sake. Not even Thea worked, and that actually made it worse. Azrael starts specifying that he is a team player. Helped Gab get her title, was the Iron Man in the Battleground, brought Damien up to the NXT roster from Evolve. He has been doing the work of someone who does not care about leaders. He's playing a role despite his own desires.
I didn't ask for this. This wasn't part of the plan. Why are you helping me? I'm not. Chase! Chase! Mr. Chase!
Chase turns on Bishop and helps Mike Santana get the TNA World title back. Chase has played Bishop like a fiddle, because he may have helped Bishop get what he wanted in the John mystery, but Chase still wants his end of the deal. Even if that isn't really what they agreed upon, he's going to make Bishop know what he wants, and that's Chase U. The professor hightails it out to the parking lot and sees other attacks and the scene of the crime. More people are getting taken out, but these ones are actually real. It's almost another eerie warning for Chase because those were released stars that were taken out in that parking lot. And as we know, we're back with Evolve. Bishop randomly shows up again and is interrupting United's celebration with William Parker. He wants to prove that he's not washed or losing a step after losing a title. Brother, nobody was saying that. Are you going insane? Are you fucking losing your mind?
Andre Chase will be dealt with whenever the time is right, but he knew he was way far out of line, and only him and I will truly understand what I mean.
The deal. Bishop loses to Starboy. He's losing it all. Looks to get back in the ring afterward, but Damian Payne holds him back. There was a Discord exclusive news report that claimed that Bishop stormed out of the building right after the Starboy match and was arguing with United members on his way out. Bishop claims he was simply trying to shake Starboy's hand as he's a fan of Chaz, but nobody else from United knew he was even going to be there on Evolve. Is Damian Payne taking initiative to hold Bishop back because of what Leo said about him listening to Bishop? Was Damian brought up to NXT to be the guy that Bishop can't push around as easily? Was Damian brought up early because he's replacing Bishop? The next NXT, Gav loses the X Division title. Nobody helped her. Tough shit. United has another team meeting where everybody is on edge aside from Azrael. The team player steps up and yells at Bishop for still thinking about the John thing instead of doing anything for it. He's claiming here that Bishop is fake acting like he actually cares, but is just showing it for the cameras, and then yelling at everybody else for not caring. T-minus 1 week, I am back. Flashes over Bishop's face.
We need to join you again in this hunt for gold, because it just looks bad when you have it and we don't.
Their masks are starting to slip, let me tell you. Damian storms out of the team meeting. Gav looks concerned for a second, but she always has a plan and is perfectly fine with it. Because later, Damian signs a contract with NXT and Gav uses her lawyer abilities to get herself a Heritage title match and United a tag team title match. Damian is called up. The replacement is already here. Chase brings Bishop to the parking lot to stand over the crime scene for their face-to-face. That was just dirty.
Familiar? Are you saying I attacked John? I know you didn't.
If you bid on this, you are in the palm of my hands, because that was such a designed thing to get you to bite on, of like, oh my god, is he actually going to reveal it right now? If I didn't go for what I did, that would have been my second option, because that's just brilliant.
Wait, did you?
Bishop sounds confused because of course he didn't, but maybe Bishop thought he was just getting led along the whole time. At this point, after the steel cage fiasco, I don't think Bishop can trust anything.
You know, I didn't.
Chase confirms that Bishop knows. They both clear each other's names, whether that was intended or not, so as far as their word goes, they are innocent. The too late message pops up over Chase's face, similar to the figure it out that was sent with Gavin Azra, who stood tall in the Battleground match. Both Bishop and Chase got these teasers. They are too late to figuring it out, that even if they did anyway. Bishop admits he feels he was nicest to Chase and that Chase was nicest to him. They'd become friends and let them figure out everything. But Chase ruined that. Deservedly so. We both have something much bigger going, is what Bishop said to Chase. Bishop is going to the main roster. Chase is fired. They both know about the John thing. There's so many moving parts. Bishop explains how he was lost before United and he's not letting his rebuilding of his own life being used against him in his home state at Heatwave. It's a sympathy story for sure, but it's all true. And unfortunately, he has the history of not being the good guy, so it's not gonna work. The only issue in Chase's reasoning towards Bishop is that Chase is still hung up from Sold Out, as he should be, but claims that Bishop did the same thing that Chase regrets. But that wasn't Bishop. Gav and Azrael forced Chase to be in the group. Bishop went along with it like he always has, because as much as people like to claim he was the leader, he was not making decisions. Chase, Parker, all those team meetings where he has no idea why he's there, it's only when Bishop started making directions is when Gav and Azrael got upset.
You did this to me, I'm doing this to you. And your biggest mistake was not learning from mine. And that is a teachable moment.
Technically, he's right, because of what I just said. Bishop didn't make the decision to add Chase to the group. The stipulation was made by Thea Hale for them to have control of the group. The mascot shit was off kilter. Chase is making Bishop a victim of what Gavin Azrael planned and acted on at Stand and Deliver. The same way Bishop made Chase a victim at Sold Out for what Gav and Azrael acted on. So actually, Chase is not wrong one bit. That Evolve episode right before Heatwave is the Nico Raiden involvement. Nico, as mentioned in the video, is a side character created by John Ozbourne himself. That call also happens to hold the LGBTKO championship. Selena Adams asked if we could put something together during Pride Month. I went with it. But I just had to get my story furthered. I had to. Damian Payne spots Nico backstage. Thinks he recognizes her, calls someone on the phone. Damian is clearly suspicious of something. Before United's 8-man tag, Damian spots Nico again and decides to go confront her. Upon arrival, Nico asks, "Hello? Who are you?" She must not know who Damian is. Damian's upset, thinking someone sent her, questioning her relation to John. They both trained together under Nico's father, so clearly if she knows enough, she'd know anything about his whereabouts. Nico keeps asking why Damian even cares about what Nico is doing or cares about John's location. That's not suspicious to anyone. Damian snatches the phone out of Nico's hands and reveals that she's been the one editing the countdown teasers. T-minus any day now, I am here at my limit. Damian tries to use the fact that the countdown technically distracted them at the number 30 spot in the Battleground match as a means to say these videos are negatively impacting United. But they are not. They obviously knew about this, which is confirmed very obviously when Nico responds,
I'm just getting paid, Damian, nothing more.
But didn't she just ask who Damian even was a second ago? Clearly, Nico, simply on payroll, nothing malicious on her end, but she's in on it. This segment was all a ploy, a play run by Damian to make it seem like somebody else other than Bishop was trying to figure this out. In a last-ditch effort to claim innocence, Nico's Freudian slip could have put the pieces together for anyone. At NXT Heatwave, there's one final United team meeting that opens the show. Bishop is apologizing to United for how he's acted during his title reign and during the Attacker mystery. He explains his faults about acting like a leader, takes accountability, all the yard. This is Bishop in his own last-ditch effort. He knows what's coming. By this point, he knows that United is going to kick him out, but he still does not want to believe it. He apologizes, maybe to change their mind. He's still doing everything in his power to prevent the inevitable, but he took way too long. He was too late. Gav tells Bishop that he needs to stay focused, which comes in handy later, because in the background of a Shiloh Hill and Thea Hale segment, we see Alexander Bishop doing something. He can barely be heard debating if he should or should not do what he's about to do, but he makes a phone call.
You really think you can help this curse? Curses are pretty tricky, but I've encountered a lot in my time. Just hear me out. Walk with me, if you will.
Bishop knows that Nico is the closest person to John that isn't trying to trick him, and she's been making all those teasers. She's clearly in a line of communication with John, so he makes a call. What they spoke about is not confirmed on TV. Bishop already knew at this point. That phone call would have only sealed the deal. And with that, he did not stay focused like Gav told him to. There are hooded figures seen after every United match. They're at the scene of the John crime. This is just a distraction. It's a final trick for me to see if anybody would come up with something else that's kind of crazy. There's a guy who's fully covered except you can see he's a black man from his neck. There's a different one who is clearly a white guy with his hand out, and the final is a woman, so I was really just trying to confuse you. The real people in those masks are John Ozbourne as the first guy, Aaron Coulter as the second, and Adriana Rizzo is the woman. I just thought it was funny. I couldn't use Gav, so I just thought to do something random. It doesn't matter to lore, they were just body doubles. Bishop loses to Andre Chase in the main event, a beautiful ending to his title reign. It was planned like that from the start of his reign, release or not. Except for the final bit of Royce Keys chucking him into the sky. And of course, the attempt to stop Ethan Page from costing Andre Chase. I added that later, but Bishop turned babyface there. If he wasn't beforehand, that was the definitive one. He lost to Chase like a man. Neither of them took their help. He knows he's wrong for what he did to Chase. He tried at the end, but Royce went and murked him.
But in his hometown!
What the fuck?
Royce Keys!
Royce Keys is according to you! You Vincent took over to you!
Then we get to now. You just saw what happened on the episode, but why not break it down? Bishop is shockingly still on NXT. He interrupts the opening to finally get some answers. Gav and Azrael fake like they care about him to try and stop him, but in reality, he'd fallen right into their trap yet again. John gives the promo, and I combined a couple previous things in this. John talks about how Bishop had been weak since he lost to Santana all those years ago. He could have been a real star if he hadn't been his own worst enemy. It's revealed that Andre Chase helping Bishop against Mike Santana at Vengeance Day and onward kept this John reveal from happening. My favorite line in this is, "This attack was only meant to expose Alexander Bishop for the fraud he truly is, but what I underestimated was your ability to do it yourself." Bishop kind of walked right into all of that. Then, if anybody remembers Xenon Ray DeFranco III's debut with the Wyatts back at Elimination Chamber 2K24, you remember me cutting a promo as the Wyatts, and then suddenly you kind of hear a different voice. They're both distorted, but at home you're going, wait, this isn't Pentagon anymore. So I faded in John himself cutting this end part of the promo to make it not as obvious that the voice had changed, but people could still catch it. I'm also recording this the day before, so I don't know if anybody caught it. Then he reveals himself by saying pretty much the exact same promo that Alexander Bishop said the week before United formed, the holding the damn gun promo. In that promo, Bishop was describing Azrael being the assassin that shockingly took out Chase. But this time, John was describing it to Bishop, which is funnier when that promo was actually first used by Bishop himself when the group Syndicate formed an APW with Bishop, Gav, and Azrael. And the purpose of that promo was to tease the fact that they had a segment planned for a John Ozbourne return in APW where he'd have help from Syndicate to fool the world. Bishop teased it about John all those years ago, and now John is using it to kick Bishop out. I love that type of stuff. That's my favorite shit to do, all that connection stuff. Then, whoa, crazy John reveal, cut back to Bishop, and he simply says, "I knew it," and they do the classic United gun finger point, except this time, it's at the back of Bishop's head, and they get him. Another callback. Can you tell that this is my favorite thing to do? Gav then says, "Alexander, do you have any final words as a member of United? And you remember what United members can do from the stipulation at Stand and Deliver? If any one of them say to bring Chase U back, it will happen." And Bishop did just that, and the students of the question mark come out and help him until the first red dot special and physical appearance of John Ozbourne in so goddamn long finally happens, and he lays out Bishop. T-0, you're done. From John himself. Bishop is officially out. But we weren't done. Bishop interrupts the show later tonight, sorry Pete Barrett, to give his supposed final plea in NXT. He explains only half of the shit I've explained in this video, reveals a bunch, gets a match with John made tonight. Right before the match, Bishop is seen talking to Andre Chase in the parking lot, as Chase is technically fired, but he finally has the red Chase U getup, so we're back to normal at least as much as possible. The match happens, another beautiful outing for Bishop's character. He accepts defeat, he accepts his future. I give him a wonderful send-off moment. I had him record those lines months ago because I wanted him to be able to do his own final words in NXT because he'd been here for so long. I just didn't tell him any of the context. I gave him that script, told him the scenario he's in, but not who it's against, what episode it's on, nothing. I kept it as vague as possible, so he just had to wait until it aired. Then Mason Rook jumps him to end the show because you are putting over everybody possible before going up. Bishop is now called up to the main roster, and we'll see where the road takes him. This is without a doubt my favorite story I've ever done. There were a couple things that may have went off the rails a couple times, but this was all laid out months and months ago. The famous story is that originally it was supposed to be Santana, the original one, the Caw, that took out John and was going to be revealed a week or two later, and it wasn't going to be something crazy. Then Santana got released, the Caw version. I keep saying that. But he got released. I actually changed it before he got released to do this crazy whodunit, but the butterfly effect from that is crazy. If you guys haven't already joined my Discord, please do, as you can get involved in the discussion, as well as I'll be revealing stuff from the JCP Anonymous Twitter account, the Samuel North Prime Minister run thing. I'll be revealing those in the Discord because a lot of them kind of overlap with the episodes, so I was going to go through them anyway, and I didn't feel like being redundant. Thank you all, and I cannot wait for you to see what I have next. It only gets more crazy from here. Whew. Oh shit, I almost lost my mind.